Welcome to another Business Spotlight, where we share insights, reflections, advice, pearls of wisdom from local business owners in the Cheshire and Manchester area. My name is Kerry James. I'm a business coach and a facilitator. But today, on today's Business Spotlight, we welcome co-founder of the On2 Group, Mr. Neil Gregory. Good morning to you, Neil, and great to have you on the Spotlight.
Good morning, Jeff. Terry, thanks for this.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
Kerry is the way you pronounce
Kerry.
my name.
Kerry.
Nearly.
Do it again. Yeah.
It's happened plenty of times before, don't worry. So anyway,
yeah.
On to the On2 Group, Neil. There's not much given away in the name of the company. So please, how long have you been in business and what do you specialise in?
So yeah, we founded nearly 4 years ago now. Just over 4 years ago. We specialise in the education sector, specialising in data and exams managed service. So instead of you having a data or exams officer in a school, we effectively become your data or exams officer as a managed service. We also build school timetables. So yeah, we do three core services really: just data, timetabling, and exams. That's our three main services that we deliver as a business.
Okay, so within the educational sector, whether it's either size of school or level of school in terms of age group or private versus state, what is the kind of ideal client for you to be working with?
So we work with mainly secondary sector. We do work with all three schools. It's in the independent sector mainly, but we work with state schools. We work with international schools. So any type of school that needs data looking at or data being managed within the school, we will deal with. But yeah, mainly secondary based schools around the state sector, and then some all through schools and some international schools as well, which is generally all through. We don't deal with prep stage very much, but
right.
Yeah.
And so how kind of specialized is that, Neil? And what would you consider to be your competition?
So we're the only school, as of last month, we were the only company doing data managed services. We've now got one competitor in the market space. They're just starting out, which is nice because now we can have competitive quotes, which is all quite important for, especially for state education sector, to have three quotes, and it's been the hardest thing to get because we're the only ones in the sector doing it. But yeah, the main competition is obviously schools employing people as data managers. So, but the reason why we set up was because there was a lack of schools managing to employ data managers on the salaries they wanted to pay. So generally we save schools about £3,000 just on wage costs alone, let alone any on costs or any equipment costs, the cost to have someone in the office, because it's a fully managed, it's a fully remote service. So yeah.
Okay, so basically, it's the schools are outsourcing the expertise and the management of their data.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, precisely. And what we offer schools on top of that is obviously we only employ experienced data managers or experienced exam officers, but those as a team or as a family, as we like to call it, they can feed off each other. So if they haven't got the knowledge, they're not solo. In schools, as a data manager or exams officer, you're the only person in that school that does that job. Whereas we effectively, as a team, they can call upon 18, 20 of us to have that knowledge. So we can feed off each other. So it works really well.
So Neil, we're in mid-2023 now. It's been a fairly interesting 3 years in business with interest rates and Brexit and lockdown and all that. Yeah, I'm guessing that the main driver in your business has been more governmental budget management, that type of thing. How have all the environmental factors impacted on your industry and your business, would you say?
So we started just before COVID. It was a really tough time before COVID, to be fair. We were we were struggling to get business because schools aren't very forward thinking, and they're not the most forward thinking sectors. We were struggling to get because schools didn't see that you could manage data remotely and you could do it as a remote service. And then COVID hit us, and we weren't unsure how the company was going to go. We were relatively in our infancy. We had a few schools at this point. During COVID, obviously schools switched on to remote working, and effectively that's what we do. So that enabled 200% growth during COVID. So we did really well out of COVID. But now it's definitely that schools are getting their budget squeezed even further. So they can't afford to employ these people in schools. So they're looking to outsource these services more and more, and that's how we are benefiting from it. We're looking to add this year. We're looking to add admission services onto our books as well.
Emission services, did you say, Neil?
Admission
services. Right, got you.
Yeah, so schools admitting people. Secondary schools have to obviously get all the data from the primary schools, and we're looking at how we do that. So yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting, isn't it? The two forces that come together that drove the business. Very good. So what about the challenges now for you as a business then, Neil? What would you say the main challenges you've got at the moment?
So our main challenge now is obviously making sure we can grow sustainably. We haven't invested much money into the business, or hardly any, to be fair. So it's how we grow that either organically or we go for faster growth, because now there's competition in the space. We may need to go for faster growth, and for that is how we fund it, whether we sell it to a bigger business. I've had 20 years experience in the education sector, but as a one-man band. So I've grown from a one-man band to a team of 28 of us now. So managing that is a different beast. So it's a different beast to how you manage a team of 28 and how you effectively keep them all happy. That's a big challenge, is just managing it.
Sure. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And how challenging is actually finding the right expert people? Is that fairly straightforward?
We offer quite high market rates, so it's quite straightforward, because usually you'll get the people who we get the people that want to not be in a school anymore and do the school politics anymore. They just want to get on with their job. So that's quite, the recruitment side is actually quite easy, because we're paying probably higher than school will pay. We can't offer the same benefits as a school, but we're getting people towards the end of to a higher age range, shall we say, who don't want to be in school anymore, but still love doing data or stuff, still love doing exams. So yeah,
less holidays, but still a competitive package, hey?
Yeah, less holidays, but still a competitive package. Yeah.
Very good. So well done on growing the business to 28 people in 4 years, Neil. In terms of aspirations, though, what size and shape do you foresee, or maybe you've set some goals about the next 3 to 5 years in terms of the business?
So yeah, next 3 to 5 years, hopefully we'll see continued growth. We're seeing continued growth this year. We want to probably get out towards a £5 to £10 million turnover business. We've seen them. So that's our next growth area, is just growing it from the £1 million stage to £5 to £10 million stage. So yeah.
And what will that translate into in terms of numbers of people approximately then, Neil?
So that 5 million, you're probably looking at about 100 staff by then. Yeah, you're looking at about 100 staff.
About 4 times your current size then?
Yeah, about 4 times, yeah. So.
Very good. So you mentioned, Neil, before that you were a freelance in the educational sector. So I'm guessing that that experience and that expertise didn't necessarily have much in relation to how to be a great business owner.
No, it didn't.
One of the
There's a,
challenges of being a business owner, of course, is knowing a little bit about a lot of different things, whether that's leadership or finance or teamwork or recruitment or systems design. I'm sure you're probably okay on systems design, but I'm interested in hearing what the top lessons you've learned over the last 4 years about becoming a business owner as opposed to a technical expert.
yeah, so I've learned to step away a bit and trust your staff to get on with the jobs. That's a big one. Who's trusting staff just to be able to manage and do a good job. And when you go, you've obviously got to trust them more. One thing I did learn quite early on from my other business, my other fellow directors, is how to keep my mouth shut a bit more. I used to be I still am an open book, to be fair, but how to not tell staff everything, tell them what they need to know when they need to know it, not before. So that was a big challenge. Processes as well. The amount of processes that I was quite free and easy with staff, and I think that did bite us on the bum at the end of last year when we were paying out lots of money in overtime payments. So learning how to manage that process and manage things like overtime, making sure your staff aren't getting burnt out as well. Especially this time of year and the summer, we entering our busiest. I call this silly term, the summer term, because schools want all their data drops. They also want all their getting ready for next academic year. So we're very busy as a team. So just making sure the team feels supported and learning how to support each member of the team. I think as a business owner, you've got a duty of care to those employees, but you've also got to make sure the business runs and you can pay everybody every month. So there's a lot of pressures as a business owner to make sure you're bringing in enough money to cover the wage bills, to cover the running of the business. Something we are going to later this year. We're actually closing our office down, so we're becoming a fully remote managed. So everybody would work from home and meet up once a quarter. So the money we save on office costs, because our team's spread all over the UK, we can meet up more regularly, to have regular meetups and to do regular CPD time and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting you were saying about establishing trust. A couple of books spring to mind. One is The Trusted Executive by John Blakey, and another one is Trust and Inspire by Stephen Covey. But trust itself is an interesting and challenging concept, isn't it? Relatively abstract. So what do you think the key elements of trust are for you, and how you help to establish that with your team?
So key elements of trust is making sure that my rule of thumb is, if I don't hear from the schools, if I don't hear complaints from the schools, I know they're doing a good job, but generally our trust, we run on a help desk system, so we can use that trust by making sure they're closing tickets and looking at what tickets they are doing and how long they're taking. That's kind of our process and the way we can see things happen. But at the beginning, I was just letting people just get on with their job and trusting them a bit too much, I think. And that's kind of didn't work, because you trust them just to get on the job, but things were going wrong in the wrong way. So we had to switch things. We had to make sure they're communicating with the schools, because at the end of the day, the school hasn't got that person down the corridor anymore. We're down the corridor on the end of the phone, but it's getting that trust with the schools, building the trust with senior leaders in schools. We work with head teachers, we work with assistant heads, and that trust does take a while to build up, because it's a very different service to what they used to. They used to be able to knock on someone's door and to get the job done, and we'll still get the job done. We've got a team. You'll never be without a data manager. If someone leaves, someone else just takes over those schools. So yeah, it's that side of trust that I had to learn to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
And how to trust them in one way, but not trust them in other ways, to have processes in place to manage that trust.
Oh, okay, very good. Well, Neil, well done on your 4-year journey. It's been great to hear some of the details of that and what you've learned. So thanks very
Yeah.
much for that. One last question, if I may. If there's any people watching Business Spotlight, or maybe they've got people who work in the educational sector that are interested in this, what might be a sensible next step in terms of a conversation with you?
Yeah, so next steps is we have a customer success team, and they deal with all inquiries. So the inquiries go through our email address, ask@theon2group.com, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll always pass your details on if you want to find out more information. We work with a lot of educational companies. We obviously work with all the MAS providers around the UK and around the world now. Actually, we've just picked up an American brand and an Australian brand. So yeah, we've got a lot of education knowledge. Even if it's just you want to chit chat about the state of education, then we're more than willing to have a chat to you about that and how we can build those processes. So, but anything from data to exams to moving across to new systems, we're willing to help you with those projects. So yeah,
That's great. Excellent. All right, Neil. Well, thanks again for your time and your
lovely.
input, and all the very
Thank you,
best with
Gary.
the On2 Group.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your time as well, and thank you for putting this together for us.
You're very welcome. We'll put those URL links together with the video on the posts.
Lovely. Thank you.
Bye for now, Neil.
Thank you. Bye.